to hate being what God gave you.
Most of us blacks, or Negroes as he called us, really thought we were free without being aware that in our subconscious, all those chains we thought had been struck off were still there. And there were many ways where what really motivated us was our desire to be loved by the white man. Malcolm meant to lance that sense of inferiority. He knew it would be painful. He knew that people could kill you because of it, but he dared to take that risk.
He was saying something over and above that of any other leader of that day. While the other leaders were begging for entry into the house of their oppressor, he was telling you to build your own house.
Hooty-hoo, hooty-hoo, hooty-hoo. We back at it. Sorry we were absent last week, but I figured everybody was trying to watch the game, so it is what it is, people. But we back at it doing what we do. And this show, I was inspired to do this show because I watched a documentary last week, prior to this week, about the Central Park Five. And I don't know if the white people just wanted to get ahead and put their version of the story out. It was on 2020. So if you got YouTube, you can still go on YouTube and watch it. It was called One Night in Central Park. That's what they called that particular one. And it seemed to tell a lot of the story from the white perspective. And the white people, even though these young men were found innocent years later, are still sticking to their stories and their nonsense. And that's why it is such a need to protect your kids. And that's why we're calling the show Protect Your Kids, Central Park 5. At the time this happened, I believe 1989, I was like 24 years old. And these 5 young men, ranging from ages of 14 to 16, were in Central Park. I mean, they admitted to being in Central Park, but it seemed like there was just a whole bunch of kids running around, bothering people and such. And a woman was raped. So it was a big rush to catch someone because, you know, this is a white woman and she's prominent in the community and she's with the bankers. And sorry about that, the sound went down. And they grabbed these 5 young men, and really none of these young men knew each other except 2. And one who wasn't really even with them, but happened to be walking with Yusef, the youngest of the group, who was 14. And they all went to the park, and they said, well, Yusef said, well, I'm coming down to the station too. He's 16. So he was charged as an adult. He was sent to adult prison while the others were sent to juvenile. And each time it came up to them to be, you know, paroled, you know, part of your parole is admitting your guilt, and they would not admit their guilt at no point. So it was that documentary, the 2021. Then Ava DuVernay came out with her version, which I liked her version much more because it seemed to be a little more truthful than what was going on. And hers was called When They See Us. And that's on Netflix, when They See Us. And that gave a better detailed account of what was going on and how the system and the racism was hard at work to manipulate and destroy these young men. I'm gonna share a clip with you. But first, I want to say something about this woman, Linda Fairstein, who is played by the Huff woman that's involved in the school scandal. And she really brought this character to life and showed you how evil and morally corrupt the system was. And that's why we always have to stand up and protect our children at all costs. I mean, but if they're bad, like that situation that just happened where the young lady was shot holding her baby, no, them niggas, and them niggas need to go to jail. It's no redemption for them as far as I'm concerned. But these were 4 innocent young men, and I'm going to share a clip with you all, and then we'll get back to the discussion.
Antron and Raymond saw you messing around with the lady.
Who said that?
In the series, as in life, only 2 of the 5 teenagers even knew each other. But during interrogation, they say police coerced them to create stories implicating one another.
Who are you talking about? The lady in the park!
I didn't see a lady or hit anyone.
Raymond saw you hit her!
Who's Raymond?
The men who lived through it say the reality was even worse.
Soon as we get in, they separate us and they start working on us. And I'm hearing Corey being physically beaten in the next room. And I'm immediately beyond afraid.
At the time, my mom, she suffered from a stroke. She had diabetes and she left. And that was their time to get on me.
And what happened?
What didn't happen?
We're 14, 15, and 16-year-old kids. Never been in trouble with the law, never had no police contact. These are seasoned veterans. This fight was fixed.
I just kept telling the truth at first. They asked to speak to my father. My father left the room with them, came back in the room, he just changed. Cursing, yelling at me. And he said, tell these people what they want to hear so you go home. I was like, Dad, but I ain't do anything. The police yelling at me, father yelling at me. And I just like, all right, I did it. And I looked up to my father. He's my hero. But he gave up on me. You know, I was telling the truth. He just told me to lie.
Did you ever make peace with your father?
No. Didn't want to. My life is ruined. Why should I? He's a coward.
Let me tell you right now, Corey, okay? This is very, very serious.
None of the 5 ever admitted to committing the rape, but they did confess to being there.
You know that other people say that you did.
I know I didn't.
They blamed each other, damning admissions, even in the absence of physical evidence.
No blood on their clothing. The semen doesn't match. The DNA tests come back negative. There's nothing that links these boys to the crime.
All were found guilty. 4 of the 5 served about 7-year sentences as juveniles, refusing early parole because it required admitting guilt. But the oldest of the group, Corey Wise, served time as an adult. In his 13th year in prison, Wise had a chance encounter with another inmate that would change the lives of all the men convicted of the rape.
The resolution of this whole tragedy came from something that I don't believe is happenstance. It's a coincidence that borders on miracle.
Matias Reyes spotted Wise in a prison yard.
So just talking to me. Wow, you still here after all these years? I guess so.
They'd met years before, and he began to feel guilty that Wise was still in prison for a crime Reyes had committed.
He saw Corey and was like, he's still here? I gotta tell the truth.
Reyes confessed that he alone committed the rape, offering details about the crime that only the assailant would know. His DNA was a match, and the men were exonerated. The city of New York eventually agreed to a $41 million settlement, about $1 million for each year of imprisonment.
Did the money make it better?
We were able to relocate, put our children in better situations. Besides that, no.
No amount of money could have given us our time back.
Is there a life lesson for what you've been through?
Truth. I preach to my kids, just tell the truth, be true to who you are. 'Cause honestly, the last time I lied got me 7.5 years for something I didn't do.
That was a interesting statement by the last guy. I think his name is Corey. If he thought that telling the truth was going to get him out of that situation, he was definitely confused because the other young men told the truth. Yusef never was on film or signed anything, unlike the other ones. His mother was what they were Islamic Muslims. So he was a little confused, but he's also hurt because all these young men, lives were destroyed, their family lives were destroyed. That particular young man, his father had been in jail, and they came after his father. Now, I want to relate all this back to slavery. If you think just 7 years to 13 years in prison destroyed these young men's lives, what do you think 300, 400 years of oppression and slavery in this country did to us? That's why we don't want to hear anybody talking about no reparations. It is owed to us because of the destruction. And nobody should be upset when people are rebellious. Everybody gets to be rebellious except us. There's a line in the movie, and it kind of puts it all together because people always talk about let's use the avenues that they gave us, the politics. But there's a line in the movie and it says politics is not about truth, it's about survival. And so the politics of America on this D-Day, where so many of our black soldiers went and fought and came back to a country and were still being treated like dogs on the street, still subjugated to red line and other things, where white people were given free money, or the veterans, grants and things and loans, but only for certain areas. So you're a black man, sorry, you don't qualify for that loan for that certain area. So you're in the same thing. You're still a boy. I think this brings together, and I'm hoping more people, and don't be ashamed to have a different thought or express your different thought to your white friends when they talk that we're all equal stuff. No, we're not equal until you all pay up, until you all make the situation fair for everyone. We already know that as a black person, you have to look at life through a different lens. We don't have the time to continue to be deceived by those white people that would say that they're our friends. They're our friends up to a certain point. We have to find ways of coming together to protect everyone, especially our kids. I mean, we had that case a few weeks ago where they were beating down the young lady at the school. No, that is not acceptable. We get, hey Kev, what's up? We get too comfortable with the treatment that we receive in our neighborhoods, that our kids are allowed, the injustices. So I always say, how am I seeing the black experience? So having grown up in environments of drugs and guns and gangs, it gives you that better understanding of life. and you understand how the conditions happen. And I'm not making excuses for people for staying in those conditions, because everybody is going to have an opportunity to get out. You got to make choices. I was talking to the cigarette man the other day, and we were talking about violence and how violence escalates when it's unnecessary and it's not about anything real. And you would shoot and kill somebody over some cigarettes, over $20. You would destroy your life. Hey, sis. Instead of saying, you know what, bro, gone, whatever. But the only thing we seem to have in the hood communities is our pride. Oh, so you taking away my pride by, shorting me. I got to kill you. This my block that I don't own. I got to kill you. That's nigga shit. Now these young men went to jail, and I'll say what my father used to tell me when I was a young kid about their age. And my father, he wasn't the world's greatest father, but sometimes he hit me with something. He said, "Look, son, you don't have to be doing anything for something to happen to you. You can be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and something can happen to you, just like these boys. They were young, trying to follow some of the older boys, and they just thought it was fun. Hey, kids running through the park. We used to run through the park as kids, play behind the schoolyard. All that little activity, and something bad happened out there, and they were the ones that got grabbed up. I don't understand how the parents, sometime in poverty situations, the parents may not have an education. They may have drug problems. They may have, backgrounds where they did whatever they had to do to survive. Like I say, the father of the one young man had been to prison, but he didn't report it on his job application. So the police used that as a leverage to make him get his son to confess. And they did something different with all these kids. They didn't have lawyers present, told the mothers to leave the room, all this other type of stuff. And the one guy, Yusef, his mother came back in the room right on time to stop them. They videotaped these young men. And then when they realized they didn't have a case because they had no DNA evidence, no cloth, no material, all the stories were totally conflicting. Then the stories they gave them to read weren't matching up to the evidence, so there was nothing there. So they decided to edit the tapes, put them together, and then just play the parts they want to play in court. And they convicted them all. So the young man saying, well, the truth, it wasn't going to make a difference. And that's what I keep trying to tell people. When you're dealing with moral monsters, it doesn't make a difference what you say. If they put your name on the list to be the next one to go, that's what it is. You're next to go. Like I say, at the job I used to work at, I was a great employee as far as I was concerned. I just didn't put on tap shoes. And like the black person that had made it up the ladder told me, they're just looking for enough people to get together to come after you, because that's what they do. The white people come in bunches, and they make your life a living hell, almost impossible. Now, we're not saying what happened to that lady was great or anything. We're just saying that was horrible for the person that did that. But in this society, unfortunately, if you're black, you're guilty until proven innocent. There's no way, like I told my friend before, with the young lady that got drugged down the stairs and the cops were punching her and stuff. If I show up on the scene and there's a cop punching my kid, then I got to go. That's my job. I got to go. Ain't no what was they doing or none of that. No, I got to go. You're not gonna beat them and do all this other stuff to them. There's no way I'm leaving my kid in this room. There's no way I'm not calling a lawyer. There's no way I'm not getting all your badge numbers. had an incident with my brother. I was think about, I don't know if I think he was about 17, and we were riding in the car and we got pulled over by the police. And I said, you know what, this is an excellent opportunity to show you how you deal with police officers. Now we're surrounded by 5 police cars. They got the guns out. He's got the big Slurpee in his hand. I said, do not move. Hold that Slurpee in your hand. Keep it up. I lean my head out the window. Officer, hey, look at me. What would you like us to do? Some people might say, oh, you went out like a punk. No, I went out like a live person. Don't let anybody convince you of all this bull crap with the laws and things. Well, you're a sovereign citizen, so you can say this and you can do this. And I can say, look at Sandra Bland. Look at the Scott fellow who tried to run away, got shot in the back. Look at Eric Gardner. You better learn to comply or die. It's no sense in sitting up here having discussions with officers about the laws, unless you happen to be an attorney or a lawyer yourself, because the way we got out of that situation, they made us walk backwards, lay on the pavement, all that. And then they called it in, and when I heard across the radio, no, that's his car. I say, okay, officer, we've heard that this is my car. Can you take the handcuffs off? Well, we got to do so and so and so and so. And I said, you know what? I want you to take a look back here. Look at my shirt. I say, this is the law firm I work for in Chicago, 1,800 attorneys. All of a sudden, his whole attitude changed. Oh, okay, let's get these handcuffs off. But we still need to take you back to the station. For what? Well, your car is showing stolen on our computers, and we don't want anything to happen to you as you try to make your way home. But then they didn't take my car. Okay, why can't I drive my own car? Light bulb goes on. I'm finna call somebody. So I call a friend. I tell him the situation. And I said, no, we cool. I said, we just got to sit here for a minute. And I'm telling my brother, they're doing this because they want to run our records now. See, even if they don't have nothing on you, they want to make something on you. They want to feel like they hit the jackpot because they were totally in the wrong. This guy had been following us for miles because the computer show was right next to the police station. So when I pulled out of the computer show lot, this cop pulled out of the cop lot. And we had traveled at least a good 4 or 5 miles before we got surrounded and pulled over. And I asked, were we speeding? Were we doing anything out of the ordinary? Why are you running my plates? He wanted to answer all this. I'm like, okay, then let's do it. But most of the time, I don't suggest, especially on the dark road, that that you take that approach. But I had to answer the questions to get us out of that situation because we hadn't done anything. And like I said, I had my law firm shirt on. They came out with the video recently from Sandra Bland's phone that was not admitted into the evidence that clearly showed that she was of no danger to this officer, that he escalated intentionally, that he grabbed her and violated her. That's called a personal assault. But where is he at? He's off in another county somewhere. He just can't be a law officer in Texas no more. The cop that shot Eric Brown, he's an officer somewhere else. The cops that choked out Eric Gardner, none of them are in jail. The ones that shot Tamir Rice, they found Tamir Rice guilty of his own assassination by the cops. We got to stop believing in systems that have proven to be unjust because it's just us. And then what happens in your life when you're unfortunate enough and to get caught up in the system, as my father used to tell me, stay out of court, because there's nothing good that's going to happen to you in there. And every experience I've had where I had to go to court, I can't really say it's been a good experience. Can't really say it is. But they do things that will affect your life, such as if you are convicted as a felon, you pretty much screwed in this society. You don't qualify for any student loans or grants, so it's going to make it hard for you to go to school. According to what your probation is, which was definitely highlighted in this movie, all the rules and regulations that you could easily go back to jail when it says you can't associate with any other felon. And if you wind up taking a job with another person that's got a record, you're in violation of your probation. You can go to jail. If you are supposed to be out a certain time and you got a job and that job wants you to work late or something like that, you can't work late because you'll wind up going back to jail. So the systematic racism that we are under from birth until our death, it's equal to post-traumatic syndrome. We're suffering from Stockholm syndrome, where we so much are trying to identify with our captors, with the people that have destroyed us, and people don't seem to get it. Slavery destroyed black people's culture. So we're disconnected from who we are. And I tell people all the time that the most terrifying day for me was when I got some African friends and then realized how destroyed we are. And nobody can sit up and should not be able to sit up and have conversations with you about the Holocaust and things like that. We just got to get to the point of shutting down like, hey, you know what? Holocaust terrible. But what happened to black people? Horrendous. And it's the same country that we're supposed to stand up and pledge allegiance to. But as I say, what's up, Brandon? As I say, our scars hidden behind stripes and bars. Land of the free, land not ours. Self-destruction taught by the destructional teacher. We on the field and they in the bleachers. They choreographed this whole thing that we go through here in this country. And then they call you a black intelligence extremist and say you are a danger to society, Mr. Farrakhan, and the speech that you are speaking and encouraging black people to love themselves and build their own nation and become self-sufficient. This is hate talk. You're an anti-Semitic, and we want you off any media. But I tell everybody, you can go to NOI.org and sign up. I get hits on my phone and on the web link. So if you want to hear Minister Farrakhan, there you go. You don't have to do it on Facebook or YouTube. You can see it directly. But they've been doing this over the years. They got Tavis Smiley off. They got Roland Martin off. But all the white people just seem to go ahead and bounce off over to another job for another 20, 30 million. Oh, you were bad, Rush. Take this 20 million. Get out of here. Hooligan, you're terrible. Take this 20 million. Get out of here. What's the white girl name that's always messing up? Here's the 60 million. Get out of here. You're terrible. White people don't get punished, and so they fail up. When's the last time you seen a black person get fired for something and then get $20 million? Shit, get $2. Moral monsters. It's incredible. It's insane to a certain point. And I think that's something that we have to reconcile within ourselves, that you are convicted in public court. Usually, like nowadays, if there's a minor You don't see a minor's pictures plastered all over the newspaper or on the news. But in the case of these young men with the Central 5, every newspaper, your boy Donald Trump took out ads. And I suggest that you watch both versions of the program. Watch the 2020 one first, and then watch the Netflix special when they see us. And you'll get exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to kind of open the lines up tonight for anybody that wants to call. If you want to talk, the number is 872-267-2552. That is 872-267-2552. If you are, it's right there, right above us. If you got a show idea, you can always hit us at the show 1965 at yahoo.com. I wanted to kind of do this show tonight for young people, so they can get a complete understanding of how this world works and how racism works, and how you're almost forced to deal with it to a certain degree because we play by their rules. And that's the problem with politics. Like I listen to Maze Jackson all the time, and Maze is very smart and very intelligent when it comes to the politics. But I always say the politics is our weakest leg, because why do we keep coming up short in a game where they give you the rules, and if you even come close to winning, let's change this rule? No, that doesn't apply to you. That doesn't work for you. But train your kids, put your kids in the same system. Convince your kid to take out all this student loan money. Man, we know if we were honest and fair, we would give you blacks free education for a couple of centuries, but then that would make you equal to us, and we're not trying to have that, because you would be smart and you would not spend your money with us. So why would we do anything like that? We'll just keep bullshitting you all and offering you all, well, here's a program where you might can get some grants here, or you may qualify for that. You know, why don't we just qualify for education? Why don't we qualify for training? Why don't we qualify for our own land, our own opportunities to make our own? Well, I think you niggas, you black people are doing okay. You had a black president. Look at all the stuff that he did for you. And then you look around, you say, did for who? I'd like a black person to call in and exactly tell me, what did Obama do for us? Symbolism. Just like tearing down all the statues, these forms of symbolism, the flags and all this that we're fighting about. I heard an interesting quote, and it said, symbolism is just a shortcut to understanding. Meaning, they'll give you the symbolism, but they're not going to give you the understanding. And they'll play dumb, which is something they love to do. Oh, no, everybody's not like that. But they benefit from it. So if you can't admit that you benefit from Jim Crow and slavery in this country, and we definitely don't want to hear nothing from anybody that crosses that border or whatever illegal way or legal way you came in here, and this government sits up and gives you a stipend for a home, for education, and says, well, because you're from a war-torn country, you can bypass all these rules that we have in place, and we'll set you up right away. But you black people that are here, we're not going to do shit for y'all, because y'all said y'all want to be Americans, right? Okay. Y'all Americans. Then it comes down to us. We got to be a different type of person, because as a black man or a black woman, there's no humanity for you. They still calling us niggas. They just calling us in a different way. This is Aaron. He's a great boy. Great man. He capitulates and he does everything. And look how successful he is. He's not having problems like all the rest of you niggas. He's out of the ghetto. He's doing great. He's helping us to further build our nation. Fuck being black. Why are you all concerned with being black? Why are you concerned with your brothers and sisters? Why? What's the point? Niggas is niggas, right? So with these young men, and it's just really heartbreaking when you see them all. I mean, they got money. One got 13 million, and everybody else got like 5, 6, 7 million, according to how long they stayed in the jail. And when the man said, "Did the money make a difference?" And they said, "No. It allowed us to do something for our children." But it can never give you back the time and what you went through and endured at the hands of these people. And none of these people were punished. Except now they're trying to go after the white lady who's 74 years old now. And I'm sure she's probably going to try to sue. Again, her name is Linda Fairstein. There's a Dump Linda Fairstein thing or something that's going around, and she's published all these books, and she went on to live a great life and writing mysteries or whatever the hell she writes. She's gotten awards and everything, but recently she stepped down from some of these boards and things she's on. That's what real power looks like. According to the movie, I don't know the woman personally, but according to the documentary, she was a real piece of work. We'll say it that way. And she's not going to, she's one of those people that still believes they got it right. Because a good white woman was raped and somebody had to pay for it. And we don't care what we have to do. And I tell people a lot of times, you get arrested and you go down there and you may feel like, okay, I'm just down here for this. And next thing you know, you got 4 other charges that were added on to the other nonsense. Like when the case of OJ, and we're not parading OJ up here, but we're just going to say his sentencing for this last thing was all based upon what could have happened. And they sentenced that man to 35 years in jail for trying to get his own shit back. And then the irony of it all, they said, yeah, this is your stuff, and they gave it back to him. But he still had to do time in jail. And all those people in that case went on to write books and make money. And imprisoning your kids is a way to go on and make money. So they invest in the prisons. It's $44,000 a year per prisoner. But they won't spend that $44,000 a year towards your education. They won't try to change your life in any type of way that's fair and seemly that could break a cycle. They're like, what the hell for? Like my teacher, Mr. Phillips, you say, Mr. Robinson, why would they do anything to help you? To make you whole and equal with them. They treat everybody differently than they treat black people. And I don't want to hear nothing from any of these educated black people that say, well, if you go out here and to get $200,000 worth of loans, then you can be just like me. You can be great. Fuck that. We're tired of that. That keeps us on a hamster's wheel. I got a couple of things that I live by. And I don't care about the lip service, but I do go by what I hear. Then I think about how I'm going to respond. And then I look at the time frame. And that's another problem with politics. It's always some time frame crap on when they can do something. They can take care of everybody and get things done. And then when it comes to us, well, we don't have any funding left for that. And we're just not going to be able to do it. Just like with the new mayor, Lori Lightfoot. A couple of black people that helped her to get into position, she done gave them the Heisman. Sorry. So Willie Wilson was on the radio today. He's like, I'm not sure what happened, but we talked, and then some things were supposed to happen, and then they didn't happen. because that's they new nigga. Tony Pruckwalker would say old nigga that carried all the dirt and did all the stuff that they wanted her to do. And then they traded on her because they said, we tired of this nigga. We finna make some new deals with some new niggas. And we still gonna be in control. They'll put the black face up there anytime they want to. This is their system. And as long as that we are in their system, we are going to be subjugated to what they say. Rebels. I was thinking about that. I was listening to some Public Enemy. And they got that one line that says, I'm a rebel, so I rebel. They got me living like an animal. But the suckers had authority. These are all the lines from the song that we got to wake up. I'm tired of people saying they woke. If you just waking up in the last few years, what the hell you been doing the last 40 years of your life? We have to wake our children up because it's not their responsibility. Polar bears don't raise gorillas. Everybody's allowed to have a heritage and pride except us. Your pride is looked at as something else that's not politically correct, which is a term that came about during the OJ trial that convinced you that you shouldn't speak up, you shouldn't say anything. We all gonna have to get us some glasses and speak up. Like I said, when you come in my shop, I'm on Instagram now too, RPC Computing on Instagram. I got a video of my shop and everything, and I got African flags. I got an African flag. I got a South African flag, a Haiti flag. I got a Jamaican flag. I got an Afro-American flag. But I don't have a red, white, and blue American flag. And I don't worry about white people coming in there and spending money, because personally, white people don't spend that type of money with black people. None that I know. Maybe they spend some up when they get the Negro that's up there in their financial market. Maybe that's where they spending it. But on the low level, they really don't. But if they ask me, well, where's the American flag at? I say, well, when we get a reparations check, then I'll think about that American flag thing. You have not, because you ask not. And that's what happened with us with Obama. That's what's about to happen with us with Lori Lightfoot. And that's what happens with us in general in whatever system we're in. And I, for one, am sick and tired of it. Maybe I am a rebel. Oh, I've always been a rebel. And being a rebel, it's always going to cost you. It's going to cost you in their system. But in the long run, when you develop your own system, maybe it's not going to cost you as much. But we looking for the unity of black people, not the unity of, ooh, we are the world and this is the way it should be. No, it's not working for us black people. And it's got to work for a larger group of us than what's happening. We got our own problems and stuff to deal with. And I'm gonna do a revamp, and I'm gonna bring back up the whole plan that I wrote out for us, like building a black town and the things that are needed for us to change, and start there. Like I said, I tried to look ahead 100 years and say, where are black people gonna be in 100 years? And I was really sad and disgusted because I can't see us in 100 years. I just can't. And that's a sad thing, because they keep us so distracted with racism and unlawfulness and everything else that goes on. They keep us stuck in our place for the last 100 years, and they keep moving ahead. They keep building. They keep getting contracts. They keep, in your neighborhood, you probably own none of the property in your neighborhood. So it's not your neighborhood. It's their neighborhood. I was talking to a white guy when I was helping my daughter move out of her dorm last week. And he was talking about projects that he's working on in the neighborhood where my store is at. There's no black people working on any projects, not that I can see. So what are we gonna do? I'm not marching nowhere with nobody. I'm gonna tell you that now. Not marching nowhere with nobody. If we going somewhere and we sitting down and we having discussions and we trying to build, then that's gonna be something else. If you're part of my Soda Free group on Facebook, I'm actually gonna be trying to bring in some people that are gonna talk about some business ideas that some people may want to take advantage of, as far as the CBD oils and marijuana dispensaries and stuff like that. So I'll work that out if we can even get into some of that, because now they're gonna have to let Ray and all them out. That may be a plus for us if they have to look at all these marijuana convictions and release a lot of people. But it takes a long time to get your record expunged and all this other type of stuff. So you're going to let him out and he's just going to be assed out for the next year or so, trying to get yourself together and hopefully not go back to jail and be in the same situation that these young men are in. And these young men are still in counseling for the things that happened to them. And it's the same thing that happened to us out of slavery. So we need to stop believing in nonsense and believe in our sense. Love, peace. So I'm gonna play something different for y'all tonight to go out to in this little Minister Farrakhan.
Look, y'all all right? Now whether you know it or not, our young men are cold today. Wait now. These young brothers, see that walk? They're not playing. They'll kill concrete. Young black man is so bad he'll burn water. He's mean. What made him so cold? That they can open fire on one another. And people burying their dead and the brother he's not moved by it. You say it's terrible. It's so terrible what our children are doing. You're right. Well, what's more terrible is the reason why they're doing it. Give me a few more minutes. I'm almost finished. The street constitutes an institution. In the same way that the church, the family, and the school are conceived as institutions. The streets have a set of values and norms to govern and reinforce their existence. The social structure of the street lacks the sophistication that these other institutions have. Nevertheless, it is an institution because it helps to shape and control behavior. And it is on the streets where the black child receives his basic orientation to life. The streets have become his primary reference point because other institutions have failed to provide him with the essential skills that he needs to survive. So he must undergo a rigorous apprenticeship that will enable him to compensate for the lack of guidance from the church, from the home, from the school, from institutions and adults. He becomes a student of the asphalt jungle because that is where he can learn the skills that he needs, and the instructors consist of hustlers, pimps, street men, gang leaders, working men that have it hard in civilization, militant criminals. And though these men do not have master's or PhD degrees, their credentials have been earned from actual experience and not from the sterile laboratories of formal academic institutions. So when a young man comes out of jail and comes back home, he's met by his peers. Hey, my man, you back, baby, run on. He said, yeah, I'm back. He's more mean now than he was before. Because he survived jail, he got some extra credentials. Am I lying, brothers? When you come in with your PhD degree, they say, here come this faggot. He's talking all proper. Now, boys, you must not get involved in these gang activities. You must work hard and go to school and be a good boy. And remember what Jesus said. And a man that has been learned in the street, he said, man, look, take that garbage somewhere else. So today the children rob the church and beat the preacher.